It's 3:20 a.m. Sunday, April 22nd, 2018. A naked man armed with an assault rifle caused carnage outside a Waffle House in Nashville, Tennessee. After shooting 4 people in the parking lot, he sprayed the outside of the building with gunfire, shooting through the windows as people casually dined. Then, eventually stepped inside with the intent on harming more people. In the subsequent chaos, an ordinary guy faced with an extraordinary situation saved many lives that cold, dark morning. He had no prior combat experience. He was just an AT&T technician. An ordinary guy. This is his remarkable story, so keep watching. The Reluctant Hero. James Shaw Jr. and his friend Brennan McMurphy had been out Saturday night when they were looking for a bite to eat. They tried one Waffle House, but it was too crowded. Unfortunately for them, they decided on another restaurant where Travis Rinking was waiting to strike. When they arrived, 21-year-old Diebny Groves was singing gospel songs with her friends. Now picture this. The atmosphere was relaxed and everyone was having a good time in the early hours of the morning, but that was going to suddenly change. Travis Rinking was sitting in his vehicle watching people come and go, perhaps running through his paranoid delusions one by one until he was ready to strike. Rinking believed that the restaurant patrons and the employees were government agents whom he had been commanded by God to kill. You see, Rinking had a history of mental illness and he was determined to act that dark early morning. Sometimes you can't reason with the deranged. Rinking was suffering from severe schizophrenia that had grown worse over a period of years. He was driven by delusions, paranoid thinking, auditory illusions that strangely included the belief that he was Taylor Swift's boyfriend and the star was stalking him. She'd even broken into his house and assaulted him. Now, in communicating directly with God, he believed that people walking around him were out to hurt him. Essentially, he believed he was commanded to go to the Waffle House in defense of himself. But there were many other red flags of his impending behavior. The most significant was his visit to the White House. The previous year, Travis was arrested after entering a restricted area near the White House. He told Secret Service officers that he had the right to inspect the grounds and that he wanted to meet President Donald Trump. Naturally, authorities confiscated his weapons after the White House incident, giving them instead to his father. One of those weapons was reported as an AR-15, the rifle he held tightly as he watched people coming and going from the Waffle House. Never ignore your intuition. It was a moment of intuition that sadly was ignored. Before he stepped into the diner, James Shaw noticed a strange man waiting in his vehicle. In fact, his friend joked that Rinking looked crazy and would shoot up the place. Something drew his attention to Travis Rinking. He later said that his energy wasn't right. I could feel it. You see, you should never ignore your instincts for danger. People so often suppress this feeling. Finally, Travis Rinking stepped out of his vehicle, raised his AR-15 and fired upon an unsuspecting couple just hanging out together. 23-year-old Aquila Da Silva and his girlfriend were both wounded. However, he later died in hospital. Rinking then turned and fired at Joe Perez, 20 years old, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, just getting food. Then at Torian Sandelin, 29, who worked at the restaurant. Both were fatally wounded. Turning his rifle, he fired multiple shots into the Waffle House from outside the building before stepping in to continue his onslaught. As you can imagine, pandemonium reigned. A seemingly calm early morning was shattered by gunfire. You see, sudden attacks elicit fear and panic in a cocktail of helplessness. The unsuspected diners literally didn't know how to respond. This happens all too often when people are not prepared for the unexpected. The moment of truth. As people ran for cover, a bullet grazed James Shaw's elbow. He ran into the bathroom for salvation. There's one way in and one way out. Without windows to escape, you have to barricade the door for safety. You see, shooters often move with haste through buildings. The aim is to cause as many mass casualties as possible. Barricades slow progress, and this often leads a shooter to move on to easier targets. Although it happened so fast, something clicked in James Shaw. He made the conscious decision that he was going to fight for his own survival. According to Shaw, in the bathroom is only one way in and one way out. And I was like, he's going to have to work for this kill. For me personally, so I got a head full of steam and I ran through the door, and it worked out like I wanted it to. What he did was nothing short of startling. With no combat experience or self-defense training. He sprang into action. Now, James was the first to admit that he was scared. Something inside motivated him to live that day. The struggle for the weapon. On hearing a pause in the gunfire, not knowing whether the rifle had jammed or was being reloaded, he seized that opportunity. Running through the bathroom, hitting the 6'4" Rinkling with the door, he then grabbed the rifle, burning the palm of his hand. Something never said in self-defense videos is that the muzzle of a firearm is often hot to touch. It took an extreme amount of focus and pain tolerance to grab this weapon and wrestle it away from Rinkling. Not only did he pull the rifle away from Rinkling, but he threw it over the counter so the gunman couldn't reach. Now, Rinkling was confused and disorientated, as well as naked, surprised that James Shaw was trying to stop him. I mean, why would a victim want to fight for their life? In his psychosis, he felt that murder was the right thing to do. It was his form of self-defense. He cursed Shaw for preventing him from achieving his godly command. Shaw said at the time his own wounds and the gunman's strange appearance didn't matter. What mattered more was to get the gun away from Rinkling. While some of the details of the chaotic moment were a blur, naturally, Shaw recalled once the immediate threat was over, he just wanted to get out of the restaurant. Now, this is natural after an adrenaline dump, but there was just one problem. The gunman was still there. Shaw later recounted, "He was in the middle of the door and I was like, 'You're still in the way, so you have to come with me.'" He continued, "So I don't know if I just picked him up and just slung him with me out the door. But I knew I needed to get out that door." This gave the disorientated Rinkling the opportunity to run away. You see, attackers also experienced confusion during and after the event. Now, Shaw recalled that he went back to check on his friend to see if he'd been shot. What a good dude. Considering such a stressful situation, that's remarkable. The aftermath. Rinkling removed his green jacket and fled naked from the scene. Now completely naked, he returned to his apartment to put on a pair of pants. This time, dressed only in pants, he went on the run. After a multi-agency manhunt, he was later spotted and arrested by local law enforcement agents. Remarkable as it seems, James Shaw was candid about his heroism. He said, "I'll say it again. I didn't really fight that man to save everybody else," Shaw said at the following news conference. "I know that might not be a popular thing, but I'm really honest. I'm going to be honest to the core. I took the gun so I could get out myself." While 4 people died in the attack, it's likely that Shaw's action saved the lives of more restaurant patrons. But what's more amazing is that afterwards, he established a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for the families of the 4 victims. This is a sign of a true hero, a good spirit. Total donations raised by Shaw surpassed $200,000 in early May 2018. What a good guy. While he's been described as a hero by numerous people, including the Tennessee authorities, he still refuses to acknowledge his hero status. Maybe heroes aren't what you think, because when it comes to it, it's all about your mindset and your determination.
I apologize to the people that lost loved ones, friends or family. I'm a genuine person. I didn't actually do it to save people. I did it just to save my life. And me saving lives, I saved other lives.
Thanks for watching.